And welcome to Hannity, and tonight we're coming to you from South Carolina, where the state's Republican primary is only 2 days away, and we have brand new Fox News poll numbers out of the Palmetto State. Donald Trump is leading the field by double digits with 32%. Texas Senator Ted Cruz in second with 19%. Senator Marco Rubio in third place with 15%. And they're followed by Ben Carson, Jeb Bush, and John Kasich. And in a brand new Fox News national poll, Trump is out in front, 36%, Cruz in second, 19%, Marco Rubio comes in third at 15%, then it's Carson, Bush, and Kasich. Now, earlier today, we caught up with the GOP frontrunner, Donald Trump, on the campaign trail right here in South Carolina. Take a look. Mr. Trump, poll numbers, Fox came out today. You're at 32%, consistent with all the other polls that have been out there. Are you feeling confident going into Saturday?
Well, I do. I mean, we're going to see what happens. I'll tell you what, South Carolina is an incredible place. I've been here many, many times. I have many friends here long before the political stuff. And I feel very good. I mean, we feel very confident. I'm making 4 or 5 speeches today and tomorrow.
And you have the biggest crowds.
I have the biggest crowds.
It was interesting because you kind of a little bit underperformed in Iowa, way overperformed in New Hampshire. The poll numbers here look very similar to New Hampshire. Are you expecting a similar result?
Well, I think I really performed well in Iowa. You know, in terms of going in, they went in. This caucus thing is crazy. They went in and they all said they're voting for Trump, and then people would do numbers on them inside, and there was a very crooked deal going on there. I'll tell you what, that whole Iowa thing was terrible with Ted Cruz, what he did with Ben Carson, etc. But I think we really did well in Iowa, picked up a lot of delegates, came in a very strong second, but we did really well in New Hampshire. And New Hampshire was so incredible to us. We won in a landslide, and we won with every single group, and this feels very much like New Hampshire.
All right, I'm going to get back to the horse race in a minute. Let me go to the main attack line that is being used against you.
Okay.
You're not a conservative.
Okay, well, I am a conservative.
Explain.
If you look at me and if you look at any kind of a record you want to look at, I'm by far the strongest on military. I'm by far the strongest of any candidate on Second Amendment. I'm by far the strongest on getting rid of Common Core and bringing the education to a local so that local people can educate the kids, which is 10 times better. You look at where we stand worldwide education, it's a horror show. We're number 30 in the world.
We spend the most money.
So we get rid of, absolutely, we get rid of Common Core, 100%. I'm the strongest on Obamacare. I've been talking to you about Obamacare from the day they proposed it. I said, you got to get rid of it. It's going to be a disaster. And I know because they have thousands of employees. And over the years, I've had tens of thousands of employees. So I understand more about health care than anybody. We have to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to repeal it and replace it. I mean, I'm the most conservative. Oh, by the way, on trade, there's nobody more conservative than me. I will make great trade deals.
Let me go to the heart of the argument.
We have the world's worst trade deals, by the way, just so you know.
I agree, and it would certainly help economic growth. I guess for some people, they say, okay, well, Donald Trump was a New York businessman and he was liberal then. Explain how you became a conservative. Maybe that would help some people understand.
Right. Well, first of all, as a businessman, it wasn't like you were liberal. You were sort of like nothing. You didn't talk about these things. You didn't talk about pro-choice. You didn't talk about you are in favor or not in favor of abortion. You didn't. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, you're building buildings and you're dealing with contractors and you're dealing with tough people and you're doing things and you're dealing with politicians. But you weren't in the world of politics, and you never were asked. I mean, they talk about pro-choice, which I am not. You know, I've totally evolved on that whole thing. But it was something you never talked about. You didn't talk about borders. You didn't talk about all of these things. Now, on many of these subjects, and on most of these subjects, I think, you know, you mentioned the word conservative. I like to say I'm a conservative with common sense, or I'm a common sense conservative. And it's a term nobody's ever heard before because I just came up with it about 2 days ago. Because some of these things that these people come up with are crazy. But I'm the most conservative when it comes to military, when it comes to the border, when it comes to security. That's why every poll you people do, I come out number one by, not by like 2 points. I come out number one where I'm in the 60s and 70%. And when it comes to security, when it comes to illegal immigration, all of these things, I think I'm the most conservative person there is.
So then why the attacks about, well, he used to be? Is it just because that's the only line of attack that they have?
Ronald Reagan, okay, so I'm pro-life.
Right.
Okay, and you know that.
You told the story in the first debate.
I did, and I told the story, and I don't know if I have to tell the story again now, but I mean, I've seen things, and I'm pro-life. And people know I'm pro-life. But Ronald Reagan, you know, was pro-choice. And Ronald Reagan passed an abortion law in California that was one of the worst in the country. I mean, it was a terrible thing. And he became president, became a great president. But he was actually a somewhat liberal Democrat, and he ended up being a somewhat conservative conservative.
Very
I mean,
well.
he was
Reagan.
Well, he wasn't very conservative, but he was back there. But more importantly, he ended up being a great president.
So you're going to build a wall. That's conservative. Can you balance a budget? Do you believe it's possible?
Oh, absolutely.
We have $20 trillion in debt.
I even like your penny plan. You know, I'm a very sophisticated guy, and I went to the best business school in the world with Wharton, and all of that stuff. I like your penny plan. I mean, and you could do more than a penny.
People may not know. The penny plan is, and it's not mine, it was Connie Mack, I got to give him credit, cut a penny out of every dollar every year for 6 years. You balance the budget. You would add...
Well, if you had the right people leading your agencies and leading your different groups, you could do that. I mean,
Waste,
you could
fraud,
do a
and
thing
abuse.
like that, or you could do it quicker. You know, some of these politicians think you can't balance the budget. Some of them think it's going to take 25 years. You've had them on your show where they say, we think over a 25-year period we can get the budget. But now you know that's not going to happen.
We always get the promise that we're going to get lower spending and higher taxes. You get the taxes, you don't get the spending. You get amnesty, you never get the wall. So
Sean, I've seen politicians on your show that you are for, and they're getting ready to go to Washington for the first time, and they're going to get rid of Obamacare, and they're going to do this and that, all these things that you have to do. They're going to balance the budget.
Doesn't happen.
A year later, you have them on their show, they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
They talk.
Listen, I'm not even sure that they'll hold the line on the position that they've taken on Justice Scalia's
Can I tell you what I saw it yesterday? So first there's like the Republicans. Don't forget, Obama's a horrible negotiator. Worst deal I've ever seen in Iran. He's a terrible negotiator except when it comes to the Republicans. And I saw it yesterday, Sean. So Scalia, great guy, dies, right? And the Republicans say, we don't want, and they're all very brave, and we have the right, and we have the Senate, and we're not going to give you any vote. Okay, everything that they're supposed to be saying, they're saying. Then yesterday I heard, there may be some weakening in the Republicans.
I saw the knees buckling.
No.
I saw the same thing.
I saw it for the first time.
Yeah.
In other words, a day goes by, all of a sudden, I'm telling you, these people need a strong leader.
Yeah.
These people are weak.
So let's talk about spending less.
Don't be surprised if some bad
Spending less
things
is important
happen.
to you. You want to eliminate baseline budgeting.
Absolutely.
Cut
Yep.
waste, fraud, and abuse.
Right.
How important is lowering taxes for economic growth?
I have my policy, and I have the biggest tax cut there is of all of them. We have a tax cut for the middle class. We have a tax cut for business. Our middle class, we're paying the highest taxes in the world, Sean. We are paying, in this country, the highest taxes in the world. So I have big tax cuts for the middle class. You know, we've forgotten about, the country has forgotten about the middle class. They really built our country. No, they built our country.
They're suffering.
And they're paying too much tax. We're cutting taxes for the middle class. We're cutting taxes for business. We're cutting tax so we can bring our $2.5 trillion back into the country. Right now,
repatriated money, the trillions that are...
Corporate inversion. I mean, you look at what's going on with corporations where Pfizer is leaving this country. How about where a Chinese company is buying the Chicago Stock Exchange, okay?
Well, you saw what happened with the Carrier
is leaving. They're going to Mexico.
Into Mexico.
And I know how to stop that.
So you'll repatriate that, give them an incentive to bring that money back, build manufacturing centers, factories here.
We want that $2.5 trillion here. You know, the interesting thing is the Democrats want it to happen and the Republicans want it to happen, but we have no leaders, so they can't. I could sit them in a room there, and within 2 minutes, you'd have that deal worked out. But we have no leader. We have a president that doesn't lead. Everybody wants the money to come back, even the Democrats. But we have no leader to sit them in a room and say, come on, let's get it done. You need a quick signing.
I've asked you at least 3 or 4 times about your replacement for Obamacare, and for some reason the press never picks up on your answer.
Well, I talk health care savings. You know, you look at health care
savings accounts.
You look at getting rid of the lines. I've been talking to you about that a lot.
Meaning,
we have to get rid of the lines.
In other words, buying across state lines.
Absolutely. There's no competition. And you know why? Because all of the politicians that you have on your show all the time are paid off by the insurance companies. That's all. It's very simple. Meaning campaign contributions.
Yeah.
As much as you like them, they get campaign contributions.
I don't give money to any of them.
They're on your show. No, I know.
They don't get any money.
But they're on your show.
Yeah.
And the truth is, they get tremendous campaign contributions from the insurance companies. They're making a fortune. Obama got taken care of by the insurance companies. Obamacare is a windfall for many insurance companies.
It's also forcing young people to buy plans they don't need.
Oh, it's sad.
And with a health care savings account, you can get a high deductible, 100%. Catastrophic care, and you're paying 4 times less.
It's great. But you have to get rid of the lines so you have competition also.
And you can take a portability job to job.
Portability is very important.
All right. What about, you said education. You would take the entire Department of Education and take the money that we're spending federally on education and give that money to cities and states?
Absolutely. And they have, look, And they can do it with real love and with heart. You got to bring education. If we were doing well in education, I'd say fine. We're ranked number 30 in the world. You have China, Denmark, Sweden, Norway. These countries are all the best countries, right? We're ranked number. We pay per pupil so many times more than number 2. Number 2 doesn't even exist. We pay so much more per pupil. Department of Education is a disaster. We have to get rid of Common Core, bring education local.
I asked you earlier in the week who you would like to replace or the type of justice you're looking for in the Supreme Court. A lot of people have said, well, you cited your sister, who took a very controversial...
I cited my sister jokingly because I had a conflict, obviously. I said, oh, I think my sister, and I did it with a big laugh on my face that I'm having fun. I have a great sister, who, by the way, is totally brilliant and a wonderful woman, but I have a conflict. So I said, oh, I'll put my sister. That's the way I did it. I didn't say my sister.
My
sister wouldn't want it. My sister wouldn't do it.
Your 2 favorite justices on the court now?
Well, Scalia was one, and I'll tell you something. I think a man who's so underrated and he's so solid is Justice Thomas.
I agree with you.
He doesn't get enough credit. He's been a rock just about more than any of them.
Did you ever read his book, My Grandfather's Son?
I've seen the book. I have not read the book.
Really good book.
I'll look at it.
All right. You talk about...
Do you agree with that, though?
Yes, I think...
He doesn't get enough credit.
Very different personality than Scalia. Scalia jokes, makes a lot of comments.
Like the opposite personality.
You know, biting dissents and opinions.
But he's been a rock.
But very solid originalist. So you're looking for an originalist?
Yes, I am.